Have you ever thought to yourself, wow, some people just never seem to struggle with cravings? I can't even go a day without craving something salty or sweet, something oily and crispy. This video is all about cravings, why we have them, and what we can do to beat them. What if there is something more behind your cravings than just the want for unhealthy foods? What if science can show us that foods can be just as addictive as some other substances? Could we somehow relate our indulgences in unhealthy food to a deeper neurological drive? We all love to use the word cravings, but in actual fact, it's more than that, isn't it? There's a physical change that takes place in the body when we crave something. It's not just all in the mind. This study showed that drinking a milkshake produces similar brain activity than using substances like heroin and cocaine. And this makes sense. Food companies for generations now have spent millions upon millions of dollars to improve and enhance the palatability of their food. They literally have scientists, chemists, neurologists sitting in a lab testing the neural dopamine and serotonin response after the ingestion of their foods. Craving a piece of cake or a box of Smarties could have a way deeper meaning than just I want unhealthy foods. We have to consider both physiological and psychological factors. Yes, to some extent, cravings are mental and can be overcome with a little bit of self-control. But in other cases, your cravings could be an indication that your body needs something more. A physiological reaction takes place in the body, signaling that you might be in need of a certain nutrient. It's been well established in the literature that if you crave some salty carbs, your body might be in need of certain minerals. It could be your body indicating that you have an electrolyte imbalance. And electrolytes are very important. Without them, your muscles can't function properly. Your heart is a muscle, and therefore the body prioritizes mineral intake and will prompt you to eat something salty if an imbalance is identified. In some cases, craving fatty foods could be a sign that your body needs, you guessed it, fats. Now there's a difference between animal-based fats and plant-based fats, but we won't get into that now. A large portion of our hormones are fat-based. And if you don't consume enough fats, this could lead to a hormonal imbalance, which will be the signaling mediator for you to start craving more fatty foods. Something as broad as craving sugars could be a way of the body indicating that it is in need of some endorphins, neurochemicals that make you feel happy. That's also the main driving hormone behind stress eating. What we should be very careful of though is to not search for excuses as to why we are craving certain things. Yes, sometimes cravings are indicators from our body saying that we need something. But if you follow a well-balanced diet full of vegetables, lean meats, fruits, then this most likely won't be the case. Almost all of the time, we just want unhealthy foods. We have grown accustomed to them. The unfortunate reality is our body is beautifully complex and gets dependent very easily. So if you consume caffeine or sugar every day for months on end, your body will make you very aware of it if you skip a day or try to completely detach from it. That's where those withdrawal headaches and fatigue comes from. So let's say you are following a healthy, balanced diet, and you do believe that your main problem truly lies in the mind. What can you do to beat your cravings? In all my years of coaching and practically living in the science, I've gathered some experience on what works best. The two most important things are: 1, eat enough voluminous foods. By this I mean avoid foods that are very calorie dense, foods like sauces and oils. Rather add some low calorie dense foods like salads and green vegetables. The reason this works so well is because of a little scientific principle called the feedback loop. The concept behind this basically says that the stomach has stretch receptors in it, and they tell the mind that the stomach has expanded enough and is now full. If you don't consume enough foods for this signaling to take place, you will keep on feeling hungry and you will start to crave foods high in calories, because the body will try and make up for the apparent lack of energy intake. The second most important thing is to make sure that you eat enough protein. Countless studies have shown that optimal protein intake helps suppress sugar cravings. And optimal protein intake is estimated to be somewhere between 1.2 and 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body mass. And this does not mean that if you weigh 80 kilograms, you can only eat 80 grams of steak per day. No, 80 grams of steak has approximately 20 grams of protein in it. You might need to use a calorie tracking app for a bit to help you get a good grip on what optimal protein intake really looks like. On another note, we can employ some psychological tactics to help us beat cravings as well. Just don't buy unhealthy foods. And I know this sounds obvious, but it's not always as easy as that. One of the biggest mistakes we make is we go to the shops on an empty stomach, and that totally crushes our willpower to say no. So make a point thereof to not go to the shops on an empty stomach. If you don't have any unhealthy junk in your house, you can't fail. Another psychological tactic we can employ is to have replacement foods available to keep our cravings at bay. Just be careful, a seemingly safe option might not always be a good healthy alternative. An example to a healthy alternative to chocolate cravings might be to add some cacao powder to a vanilla protein shake. Something we should remember though is, although we can say a lot about cravings and how to overcome them, we should allow for some flexibility in our diet. Having a piece of cake at a birthday party or a drink with friends in celebration of the end of a long working season is okay. Excessive restrictive dieting patterns have been identified as the leading cause for disordered relationships with food. The most important thing to remember is that your lifestyle should be healthy. You should aim to be active every day and consume whole foods, vegetables, lean meats, minerals, vitamins, fibers. And don't overthink it. You know when you're consuming way too much junk. The best thing you can do to your body is to stop pumping so much junk into your system. Following the 80-20 rule helped me regain a healthy relationship with food after I initially got dragged into dieting culture as an overweight young boy. The 80-20 rule basically says 80% healthy food, 20% less healthy food. If most of your meals a day are healthy, having a piece of chocolate is okay. The problem comes in when it's a whole slab of chocolate. Moderation is key, and spending some good time educating yourself on what healthy nutrition really looks like could be the most valuable thing you ever do. So I really recommend you do so. I hope you found some value in this video, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or send me a DM on Instagram. And I'll see you in the next video as we do every Monday evening. Cheers.